Ah, crap, people did not like the last one. I better pick something I can't mess up. Hello and welcome to the top 10 waifus in One Piece Treasure Cruise. I'm just kidding. Obviously, the number one is whoever you think it is. Now, raid bosses alongside Colosseum units are the best characters you can get in the game outside of the rare recruit pool. They'll generally have great stats, a good captain ability, and a good special, with the added bonus of being able to get the special ops using copies of them, meaning you can get sockets and special ops at the same time, rather than just skill books. Now currently there are around 15 raid bosses on global at the moment, not including the mini bosses or the 50 marines in that one raid. So that's what we'll be counting down today. We'll be evaluating them based on their stats, but mostly their captain ability and special, and how useful and flexible they are. Can they fit in a lot of teams, or are they just a niche unit? We'll also see if they're actually good for free-to-play players, or if you'll need too many rare recruits to make them work. With all that said, let's get started. Number 10, we have Monster Chopper. Now, it was a toss-up between him and Garp to see who would get the number 10 spot. I gave it to Monster Chopper just because he has better stats and has more uses, such as being able to take down a certain other raid boss on this list. Not only that, his special can deal a whopping 200,000 damage, while Garp's special is outclassed by someone else on this list coming up next. And he has monstrous stats, pun intended, with a whopping 3,600 HP and a huge 1,500 attack. Now obviously he has minus 900 RTV, so you're never gonna heal ever, but you know, at least it doesn't make you lose HP when you eat meat. His captain ability is actually pretty strong, boosting strength units by ×3, which is a massive boost, but you're losing 60% of your total HP per monster chopper. So you'll probably get one shot in most circumstances, limiting your chance to stall, and if it's not dex, you're probably gonna get wrecked. But for speed runs, it's not terrible, and you may find some uses for it. He's a great strength sub as well if you don't need to heal, but later in the game you'll probably find people that have similar amount of stats, but a much more useful special.
ビルにはそれなりに楽しませてもらった。本当のエンターテインメントはこれからだ。
Up next and hot off the presses is Gil Pesaro. He's a Psy cerebral driven character with all-round decent stats, good HP, good attack, good RCV, but that doesn't stand out all too much since most raid bosses have great stats. However, his captain ability has the potential to boost units by 2.625. Now, being an attack booster that gives more than 2.5 times, or doubling just attack and HP, is pretty rare and can be pretty powerful if you can get the right units. However, the requirement of being a Psy driven or a Psy cerebral is very limited. There are some decent units that are free to play, however, such as T-Bone, Raid Momonga, Raid Strawberry, Herculesan, Fortnite Kobe, Story Mode NL, and Hannibal. So you can make a decent team, but it's not going to be top tier and you probably won't bother doing it anyway. He also doubles the amount of belly you get, but really that isn't worth mentioning. Now what makes him pretty cool is that his special gives you all Psy orbs if you have more than 50% HP. Now this prerequisite is pretty easy to clear, and the orb manipulation is insane for Psy teams. As previously mentioned, Garp gave you either Psy or meat orbs, but this is much more consistent and a very powerful unit for teams such as Shanks, Strongworld Shanks, Young Shanks, just Psy teams in general. He's pretty powerful in that regard. Outside of that though, he doesn't have much use. Good stats and a very strong special, but very niche. At number 7 we have Shiki, who is a strength driven slasher. Shiki doubles the attack and HP of driven characters, which is a pretty powerful effect, making him probably the best driven captain you can get for free other than maybe Colosseum Kid. His special deals 30 times his character's attack as type plus damage, and then changes block, G and bomb orbs into matching orbs for driven characters. Not only that, he then boosts the attack of driven characters by 1.75 times. Obviously you can build a great driven team around this guy. He already provides the attack boost, and there are some great orb boosters out there that are driven, such as Colosseum Smoker and a certain someone else on this list. He's also a slasher, which is very common, but he has amazing stats, so you can slot him onto your slashers teams as well. The only real problem with him is despite the fact he manipulates orbs, right now on global there really isn't a great free-to-play way to get his ability to give you full matching orbs, as unlike someone else on this list, he doesn't change empty orbs into matching orbs. So you'll have to find a different way to get full matching orbs other than just his special. That said, he's still a really strong unit, great captain ability, powerful special. Even if you can't use the orb manipulation to your advantage, the boosting of driven characters is still very powerful. At number 7 we have Blackbeard, and he's probably one of the most fun raid bosses to use. He's a strength driven shooter with a ridiculous amount of HP and very strong attack at 1400, but mediocre RCV. Now his captain ability doubles the damage received, which sounds terrible, but he boosts the attack of strength characters by 2.5 and their HP by 2.25. Now just being a free to play 2.5 times captain is already pretty great, but what makes him super fun to use is his special, which deals 10 times the amount of damage received in the previous turn in typeless damage to everyone. Now pairing this with his captain ability, if you're using 2 Blackbeards, you're taking 4 times the damage you normally would. So if you just build a team based solely on getting the most amount of HP, then tanking a massive hit, you can deal back a ludicrous amount of damage back to the enemy. Not only that, you can do it twice since you have 2 Blackbeards. This is definitely a very unique team to make and is fun to do, just to smash an enemy with his huge special and not really have to do anything at all, and can help you clear a number of raid bosses. However, obviously it's going to take a lot of time and effort to set up. You'll probably need to max out his special, get a bunch of guys with high HP, max out the marine ship, which you would never do in normal circumstances. But I'd say it's worth it just to have the great pleasure of destroying people with his special. Outside of that, he can be a great sub for strength driven and shooter teams just because he has massive stats. And you know, if you throw him onto a double Coomer team, you can still do some decent damage with his special, even if it isn't going to kill everyone immediately. Overall, he's a great unit, and even if you don't go out of your way to build a Blackbeard team, he's still very powerful in most teams that you put him on.
Ice Age! Aokiji.
Up next we have Aokiji, who is an int free spirit striker. Similar to Shiki, he boosts the attack and HP of strikers by ×2, and he has really powerful stats: 2400 HP, 1400 attack, and 250 RCV. Now what makes him better than Shiki in my opinion is the fact that he boosts strikers by 1.75 times the same amount of Shiki, but for 2 turns, as well as locking all your orbs for 2 turns as well. This means he gives you a great chance to do 2 turns of burst, which works great with his captain ability as well, since you'll be a lot tankier and therefore be able to stall better for these special, take a hit from the enemies so you could actually do the 2 turns of damage. It just makes more sense overall with his captain ability compared to Shiki's. You can also use him as a sub for int, striker or free spirit teams, with Colosseum Smoker being a striker unit, but he does only boost orbs for 1 turn. But maybe you want to use Fortnite Kaku instead, who boosts orbs for 2 turns, but only for 1.5 times. You'll still have to look for other units to have orb manipulation on your team however, so you actually have orbs worth locking down for 2 turns. But you know, you can't do it all. He's a very solid unit for teams that are looking to deal multiple turns of burst, or as a tanky captain for striker teams. And you know, he's Aokiji. He's a cool guy. Next up is Coomer, who is a strength cerebral powerhouse, and he's yet another ×2×2 captain, boosting the attack and HP of cerebral units by ×2. And he also deals 5 times the amount of damage you receive on the previous turn in strength damage, which is a little weird, but okay. He has really strong stats even compared to other raid bosses, with a crazy amount of 3000 HP and 1400 attack. But what makes him really strong in my opinion is his special, which changes RCV, TND, MT, block and bomb orbs into matching orbs for everyone, and then amplifies the effect by 1.75 times for 1 turn. Now this is pretty similar to Shiki's effect, but is a much more powerful one. The big thing being that he changes matching orbs for everyone, not just driven characters, everyone. Not only that, the different kinds of orbs that he changes into matchings is increased as well. And you can use free-to-play Frankie, the one you can farm from story mode or get from the free Straw Hat Island, not the one you get from completing the story island for some reason, who happens to empty all orbs, will give you a full set of matching orbs for everyone and boost your orbs for just 2 characters. That's great for free-to-play rainbow teams if you happen to not have other great orb manipulators. However, this Frankie is just an int fighter, so it might be a bit awkward for other teams that you might want to build, such as powerhouse, cerebral or strength teams that you'd put Coomer on. Another choice if you're building a cerebral team is Satori. Yeah, I bet you never think of using a Satori for a team, but here we are. Overall, he's a great unit, a strong captain ability, really strong stats, and if it wasn't for another unit on this list, he'd be the best free-to-play orb booster, but as is a very strong unit to add to your teams. At number 4 we have Zephyr, who many thought wouldn't even exist on Global for a very long time. He's an int power shooter who boosts the attack of shooter characters by 2.5 times. He has a ludicrous amount of HP at 3700, as well as a decent amount of attack but mediocre RCV. But what puts him so high up on this list is his special, which boosts the attack of shooters by 1.75 times for 2 turns. This is obviously why people were yearning for him for so long, since that makes him the backbone of every shooter team, and one of the reasons why Stronghold Ace was so bad on global for so long. I mean, the next best shooter booster was Log Frankie, who only did it by 1.25 times for 1 turn. He's also probably the best non-legend shooter captain that you could have gotten, so the fact that he was the best captain and attack booster for an entire class makes him really stand out. You could of course use him as well on a powerhouse or int team, but his main uses and the real reason he shines is on shooter teams, fully unlocking the potential of Stronghold Ace and allowing a whole class of free-to-play players to be able to start using shooter characters. At number 3 we have Enel, or Eneru. That sounds stupid, why did I name him that? He's a quick driven striker who has 2500 HP, 1470 attack, and sick abs. And 230 ICV. Now, if this was just my favourite top 10 raid bosses, Enel will probably be at number 1. His captain ability boosts the attack of quick characters by 2.25 times, and heals the team by 5 times his RCV at the end of each turn. This right here is so useful for things like story mode where you just want to get through it without having to look up every time what the bosses are of every stage. You can just, tank the hits, heal up, and just go through it really quickly. Using 2 NLs together obviously gives you a much bigger heal, allowing you to tank numerous hits and keep on ticking. But a really strong thing to do with him as well is to pair him up with a Marco or a Boa legend. Both these legends require you to stay above a certain amount of HP in order to be fully functional, and it now allows them to be much more consistent without worrying of dropping below the 70% threshold. I've sung all his praises at this point and I still haven't even spoken about his special, which reduces the crew's current HP by 90%, which sucks, but then deals 20,000 fixed damage, which is pretty nice for Princess Hime Turtle Islands or the like, and boosts the attack of quick characters by ×2. Now, as you've seen, for the most part, raid bosses boost by 1.75 times, but ×2 is really worth the trade-off of losing 90% of your HP in my opinion. Plus you're Enel, you can just heal right up. And Boa and Marco both have healing specials which allow you to keep their attack boosts up as well. With all that said, obviously he's only boosting quick units, so it's a bit limiting in that regard. But his healing captain ability really makes him versatile in a lot of situations. Even if it's against decks, you might be able to clear it just because you'll be able to tank so many damn hits. He's definitely a raid boss you'll want to spend your gems on, if only if it wasn't so damn hard. At number 2, we have the reverend saint of all free-to-play players, Mihawk. Mihawk's a deck slasher that boosts the attack of all slashes by 2.5 times. Nice and simple. He has decent attack and very high HP, which makes up for his really bad RCV. Which makes perfect sense because his coffin boat, which you should be able to claim later on in the game, will negate all the RCV you gain but boost the HP you get total for slashes. His special is also very powerful, cutting the current HP of enemies by 30%. Mihawk is definitely the bread and butter for free-to-play players, enabling you to clear most Fortnites and story mode very easily. Especially since there's such an abundance of really strong slasher characters you can get out there, Arlong, or Zero, and someone else on this list you'll see soon. He may get outclassed by his legend version, but he's still very strong even if you do have him. Especially paired up with a boat, you'll be very tanky, dealing a lot of damage, just really strong overall. The only drawback of Mihawk is that he only has one class, meaning he really pretty much only can be used on decks and slasher teams. But he's already done so much for you, what more can you ask for? And at number 1, we have whoever you think it is. Of course, it's Doflamingo. Who else could it be but Doflamingo? He's a dex-driven slasher, pairing very nicely with Mihawk obviously. But that being said, he pairs up very nicely with anyone, because his special is so goddamn OP. He allows you to switch between orbs twice and then boosts their effect by ×2 for 1 turn. Once again, orb manipulation and orb boosting in one unit makes him very powerful. This would be the best orb manipulation and boosting in the game if it wasn't for Legend of Doflamingo, but damn it, this guy's free to play, so you know what, I'm saying he's better. This effect is so powerful you can put it on any team. Slashes, decks, drivens, whatever. Free spirit, quick, your freaking Dokkan battle team, put him on everything. This seriously gives you so much burst on any team, it's really worth it even if he isn't boosted by the captains. So with such a powerful effect, you'd think he'd have pretty mediocre stats. But no, he has really high HP, he has more RCV than Enel, the Healy man, and he has the highest attack of all units, not including his legend form, losing only by 30 points. That's crazy. So he has a crazy special, a crazy amount of stats, so he must have a bad captain ability, right? No! His captain ability boosts Slash's attack and HP by ×2. Now obviously if you're trying to burst, you want to have more attack and not really regard the HP boost. But put him together with another Doflamingo captain and get the Mihawk ship and you can have a ludicrous amount of HP as well. You could have near 6-digit HP with just free-to-play characters. It's insane. So probably the best special of all free-to-play characters outside of GPU maybe. Insane stats that rival even rare recruit characters and legends. A captain ability that allows you to make tanky slasher teams to go through really long islands. It's no question that Doflamingo is the best raid boss available on global and probably will be for a very long time. Well, that was the list. I hope you enjoyed it. There really are no bad raid bosses outside of, Fat Usopp or whatever. So some of the choices on this list are very interchangeable depending on what units you have, what islands you're trying to beat. There's a lot of factors in what should be considered the best, except for Doflamingo, who's clearly the best. If you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe. Check out our channel for other One Piece Treasure Cruise content. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, my Nakama!